Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
Welcome back to the show. John Riggio joining us here, our architect, our pro tennis player, author, and so much more. How are you doing today, darling?
Hey, how are you? It's very cold over here. It's only it was very cold in the morning. I think here it's below freezing still, and I think it's a few cold days ahead.
Well, it's good to have you back. Great to see you, John. For today, where are we diving into? Are we going to talk more about architecture, both pro tennis? What do you have in store for us?
Well, today, since the last podcast, I'm going to continue talking about some more tennis stories. I have some interesting stories. I went to another book show. I'll show some pictures of that. And then I'll just talk about some other things. I'll just also piece together some stories from the last time. So to start off, let me just share the screen here. Okay, I have some photographs. Okay, so this is called a book swap. And this book swap, very interestingly, started in the COVID times. They said that these book swaps are something brand new. It's a new idea. And this is when people had to stay inside because of the different quarantine at the time. They developed this thing of you can get some books, trade them, and come back with new books. So you could say maybe trade in 5 books, 10 books, and they give you the same number of books back. And this is a new fun thing that they have. This show also they developed into where you can just give them some money and buy books. And you could also, they have tables with authors and different crafts and things like that. So I'm one of the authors that bought the table. And I have some nice pictures. So the picture here is showing me in front of my table, and it's showing all the people in the morning here. They're looking at books. They're getting their books swapped. Some of them are just paying for books, and they're getting these used books that they have on the table. And they have all different categories. They have young adult category, fiction, nonfiction, all kinds of things like that on each table. And it's a nice event. This was really on just a cold morning here. And this is just a picture of myself just coming here on the weekend. It took place on a Saturday morning. And this is my table. So here I have my table. It just does the usual things. I have advertisement and professionally made advertisement here. And this here is really very nice. It's in a building that's used as a church, called a Liquid Church. This is one of the locations, and this is just a picture showing at the front of the entrance. This is showing down the hallway, and it just shows all the tables. The people come in here. It's free to enter into the event. You don't have to pay any money. You could just walk around and leave if you'd like. And there's plenty of parking. So this was really good. And just showing some pictures here. And this shows a nice photograph of showing the tables here. And you look past them and you see this other end. Since it's the weekend there, little restaurants they have in here. They even have Chick-fil-A in this building. They're closed for the weekend. But this shows here a lot of crafts. And so this is some people I met here too. I met some other authors. There's 2 authors I met, and they are similar to myself. They're writing books that are really autobiographies.
Yeah.
This is one author here, and let me just zoom in, A.J. Wyman. And he's just showing his book and my book. We swapped books, signed the books, give an autograph. And he has his story here. It's very nice. And this is another picture here of us holding each other's books, swapping books. And then this one here is another one. This is a very nice lady here. She has this book. And this is Gabriella D'Italia. And this is her book. And this is my book. And we're swapping books here. And this is very good. And this is her book also, of her autobiography of her life and stories that she has. She's an artist.
Aww.
and that was really very good. Just zoom out. So she has her own table here, and this is one of the crafts they have. This is really interesting. This is like a craft for moss. You could have this kind of thing, like this nice arts and crafts. People like to play arts and crafts and things like that. And they have this whole thing here is one of the displays. This here is just showing my table in the background here, and then this is a load of books they have. And I gave them a little donation of books also, in addition to just going there and paying for the thing. I gave them some books. I signed some books for people, gave them to some different people who are interested in sports. And so the book fair went really good. And this is a nice location, has this big volume of space in here. So it went really good.
Beautiful. Big. That looks like that huge turnout.
It wasn't too bad. I think in the middle of the winter, this is the second event I've been with them, and they had a pretty good turnout. I think I had shown some pictures of the previous one that a lot of people were walking around. So it wasn't too bad for the middle of the winter, but I'm happy I attended. It was very, very good. And the um, the whole thing is really a whole new idea too. The
Hmm.
the book swap and everything, and met some authors that were doing the same kind of thing, writing their own book and writing their own autobiography. This is really very interesting. I'm gaining a lot of information, and this was good. So let me see here. This is also when I was talking to them, AJ had asked me some questions if I had a really fast serve. He was someone who's aware of tennis playing, and of course, saw the tennis on television. And he was asking about how fast my serve was, and I was explaining the same thing, that I really had basically the fastest serve. But I started to tell him some interesting, more advanced stories. I started to tell him the story that in tennis, they didn't want me to just serve and ace the whole game. Like I would, like in baseball, you'd pitch a perfect game. Like they didn't want me to do that in each game, even though I had the ability to really ace a whole match.
Hmm.
What happened is the I explained that in tennis, you have to play all the different shots. I think in theory, it is okay to ace the whole game. Sometimes I did do that. I always used to use the ace to get ahead in the points, make sure I didn't
Hmm.
get behind in the points. In tennis game, if you're playing even recreational tennis, you get 1 point behind in a game. It starts to build the momentum where you can then lose the whole game, lose the whole match. So, but in tennis, playing overall, you're supposed to show you have some nice serves, different variety of serves.
Okay.
And I always had to show I had more than one serve. I had a very nice set of serves. They had to have a really nice hard straight serve, was the number one most important thing. That was the top pro serve, was to do that. The other type of serves, the serve where you hit the ball, put it in play, is a nice serve, just from experience, but that might not be the serve you really need to win. Then, as far as showing you can
Hmm.
play good, I think if you get ahead in the points is when you could play with your opponent a little, show them you have a nice second serve, a nice slice serve. And then you want also at those points, if you can get ahead, is to show the other types of hits you have, that you have a nice backhand, you could do a lob shot, you can do all kinds of different shots, hitting the ball cross court, hitting the volley, all kinds
Wow.
of things like that. So when you're playing tennis, they sort of have an idea that you're supposed to give yourself like a little test. At certain parts of the game, you're supposed to go through like a routine of hitting the different types of shots, and your opponents could sometimes the idea is the opponent would pick up that you could hit the different shots. You could hit a backhand slice, you could hit a lob shot, you could hit a cross court shot, and you could approach the net correctly, things like that. There was always that kind of idea in tennis that you could sort of test yourself, and the opponent is supposed to pick up on that idea that they can see you know how to hit a variety of tennis shots. They sort of like that. In tennis, there is some points involved. Like, say you would watch different things like ice skating or gymnastics. They have a secret point system that you are hitting the ball nicely. You are have a variety of shots. There is a secret point system in playing pro tennis. No one talks about it at all. There is a secret point system, and just with the point system, also having the ability to really make an excellent hard first serve is uh, part of the points too. That is important. Just can't play a nice game. Anyone can just play a nice recreational game, but overall, you do have to play a game that's really very advanced too. Those are the first points to get, that you're playing an advanced game to win. Then they'd like to show you a little rounded, that you know all the different variety of shots, different kinds of serves. From that, they sort of get the idea that you're playing really excellent and you know how to make all the different shots, that you aren't just a player that just knows one or two shots to play. They like that you learned all of them, and also that you're gripping the racket, you're not really hitting on top of the net, things like that. And that is one part of the game. So that question with the my serve was very fast is good. But now as I thought about it, I just wanted to just give an idea of when you're playing tennis, they also want you to expand on all those different things, show have a knowledge of playing all the different shots. I think as far as some tennis tips, I was told when I was playing tennis too, like if you're playing tennis and you're in a match, in the middle of the match, sometimes people could start to have they can start to stiffen up a little. They can get worried that this is like their one game. They could lose their one game. And one of my coaches was explaining that he suggested to really continue winning each game and getting over that little part in the middle of the match, was to think about that you want to play the next match too. You don't want to just play this match and make it where you start to falter. You want to think that you're going to win this match, and then you want to also play the next match, and you want to win the next match. So instead of getting on something in the middle of the match you're playing against your opponent, you could even use this in recreational tennis. You were supposed to really start to think ahead, not to get too worried about the match you're in, knowing you could just play another match afterwards and not to panic. So you're supposed to really think that way. And now I think thinking that way also, then you don't want to get too far ahead of yourself that you already won the match too. That's another important thing about tennis. You're the only player there that can win the match. No one's can step in to win, and you have to really stay in the game and concentrate. But as far as your mind wandering off and you getting too worried, the idea I was told was to really think about winning the next match and playing the next match. So this match that you're playing in isn't, you got to worry your mind too much, or then you're going to falter. You start to get behind in the game, and then you could then lose the match. But that is one little mind trick that you could use to keep in the game, not get too worried. And from that idea, it should help you a little in winning that match, and then on to the next match that you really got to keep playing and really win the matches. And So that is one thing about tennis. I think one interesting thing also was I was thinking about my parents. I was talking about my father a lot, but my mother also lucked out with the tennis, knowing since my father was involved with his father, my grandfather, with the tennis pros. My mother was able to learn some tennis there at the tennis center too. She was telling me she learned some tennis from Billie Jean King, and she even had the Billie Jean King Wilson racket too. That was
Oh.
her tennis racket. It was this old wood racket with Billie Jean King on it, and that was a very interesting. They used to, so she that her wanting to. She used to get play a little, and with my father and the family, we used to play some tennis when I was young, and that's how I originally learned how to play tennis. Was when I was very young. I think those little influences of them playing tennis because of my grandfather sort of helped. They were able to pass down some pro knowledge originally, learning how to play, and they could see I knew how to play some tennis from the start. That was really important. So from last week, I saw that the video started to get a little fuzzy,
Yep. So,
but I wanted to say the very interesting story about my friend with Liz is that yeah, Liz, I knew her when she just came to New York City. She's given some promise of entertainment, and originally she was gonna have to sleep on in the alleyway, so I gave him some money so she wouldn't have to sleep in the alleyway.
ah,
And this even went further where I asked my mother if she could stay at our home. And I explained to her that she's a little like my mother. I explained that she's a lot like my mother. Unfortunately, my mother for some reason turned her down. She didn't really want to help,
mm,
which is sad. And so I think in some instances she might have been interested. For some reason with Elizabeth, she didn't want to help out. And but what happened was she didn't have any stage name at that point. She got herself into some entertainment where they gave her the stage name with Tia Ling, which also had some stand-ins. And then she gave me her phone number, and I kept in touch with her over a number of years. This is very interesting. From knowing her from over years, she told me a very interesting story that I think I was getting interrupted with somehow that the electronics were going off. But her father was a brigadier general in the army, in the U.S. Army,
wow.
and unfortunately, she was kidnapped and held for ransom.
Oh my.
Yeah, so the only problem was she somehow had to promise that she would help out in the adult industry, just even though she was freed. So her problems were really bad. But other than that, she went to college and became an interior designer. So she was also doing the same kind of professional work that I was, which is really interesting. In fact, one job I had showed that there was a supermarket on the first floor and a catering hall on the second floor. I did the drawings for the architect, and she did some interior design for that, doing some things with the window treatments and the carpeting and things like that. She selected all those things. So somehow they had her on the job. I don't. Somehow she was in the same circle of people. I don't know how, but we had met at those times, and so she was always nice. Always like to help her out, and somehow we end up meeting at professional networking. We met at professional networking, and the strangest, horrible thing happened. What happened was the group of people I was with a VIP group. We didn't have to go through security. But she, in fact, had come in later with some friends to the same nightclub. It was a popular nightclub in Manhattan. And just by chance, unfortunately, someone in the networking group did not like her. It was a male. And he plotted to kill her and wanted to chop her up and put her into black plastic bags. And thinking it was a joke, it was not funny. So then one of the next events, he came back. We were there. There's no guarantee that Liz would show up for this networking event. Everyone signs up on their own. They attend. In fact, I even taught her how to sign up and just go as a VIP. And she did show up. So what happened immediately, I went over to her and I told her that someone is plotting to kill her and has a duffel bag with all kinds of instruments of cutting her up and plastic bags. So she believed what I'm talking about and left immediately. So what happens? One of her friends walked around and witnessed the bag in person. And what they did is they immediately called the police. The police came down there. They went by the duffel bag, got the guy who was there, surrounded the whole place, told everyone to leave. And I left, and the whole thing was stopped. So I really did uncover a serious thing that
Oh my
someone really
gosh.
didn't like her. So at that group of professionals, one male who didn't stop her getting killed, she ended up marrying him. So one guy who was just going to let her get chopped up didn't do anything. But in fact, what happened later on was this story ended up continuing on. So in the many years, I knew her. I had her phone number. Used to talk about some entertainment things like that. And so what happened there is after I was divorced, the whole thing started up again. She sort of, I talked to her and she was interested that she didn't like her marriage. And
Mhm.
unfortunately, what happened is she had some problems with money. So when she confronted her husband, the husband hit her. Then the next day she came home and the dog was stabbed to death on the kitchen floor. So on part of my advice, she ended up did calling the police and then she got separated. Now the only problem is her problems seem to always get worse and worse, like it's a joke. Because
Yeah.
she ended up moving into this apartment that I found for her. That we were
Mhm.
gonna live there. Now, since our marriage didn't go ahead officially, since we both had a family,
Mhm.
she, in fact, ended up moving in with a female friend. But her female friend was like some kind of thing, it's like a paranormal or something. I don't know what was she was about because she really wasn't very nice to her.
Oh
She,
gosh.
she would even hit her. And I thought something was going because even with her entertainment crew, the guy who does the porn, he wanted to take all of her money and kill her also. So I don't know what was happening that was so horrible. So
Whoa.
I didn't really want to give up. So at that point, even though the marriage wasn't a possibility to do a legal marriage, I think we could still be friends somehow. But I think her problems continued on. That someone that she was really living with was like a paranormal because I went to our cultural community that we're friends with, and in front of the public of everyone, she's there, I'm there, and her friend was really standing in between, like really like a paranormal type of story, and so that was really how that ended. So that's why I'm really telling the whole story because in the
Oh.
end, it ended up more a little bit like someone was really out to get her, and it was affecting me too. It was causing problems. Um, Her psychologist called me on the phone to connect in. I think there was probably communication. I talked to her, and but in fact, staying on as just like a not an official marriage, a friendship,
Yeah.
was stopped at that point, and I felt sorry for her. I was a little depressed about it. That somehow they were able to do this, where someone's able to interfere with her personal life. I don't know how it's possible. And then from there, I really have no idea where she went. Um, and I think she was over in Europe for a while after that. I have no idea where she is now. And that's the really end of that story. So I think this is the typical story where things got so involved that her problems really came out to put the stops in on the end to really I don't know, keep her like she is kidnapped or something. That is really
Oh my gosh.
her story. Yes, I just wanted to say that because also when I was watching the podcast last week and the sound got very fuzzy, I was starting to get an idea that someone is interfering with this story, and I just wanted to say the whole thing. It was
Well, it sounded loud and clear to me. I hope it's that way on the playback today, but yes. Wow.
Yeah, so that is a whole thing of that story, and that is very interesting. And so that is what happened with Liz.
Wow. Well, thank
Yeah.
you for the info.
I've always made it through. She was safe, and it's pretty sad. Some people really had it in for a couple times, but that is really sad.
Got it. Well, thank you for sharing this today. And we are just about out of time. How do we contact you?
Yeah, sure. You can go on to my Facebook page. It is John Riggio Pro Tennis Player. My professional work is www.johnriggio.com.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Thank you for telling that story. My goodness. And you're a saint. You're very helpful. You're such a good person.
You're
And
welcome. Thanks a lot, Jill.
no, thank you. Bye bye.
Bye.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.